Right, let's move on from the quarterbacks because that was a lot of fun to talk about. But we'll go into sort of the big rumors. I mean, we'll talk about the biggest rumor team if we have time at the end. We'll talk about a minor rumor that has been happening. But the biggest one, obviously, is Brandon Aiyuk has made it very, very clear now. This has been going on for a fair few months now. But Brandon Aiyuk looking to get a trade away from the San Francisco 49ers. The teams that are leading the race apparently are my Pittsburgh Steelers, the Cleveland Browns, and the New England Patriots. Johnny, I mean, would you, if the Jets are in, I won't. I know there won't be, but if the Jets were in the conversation for looking at Aiyuk, do you think it's a player that you would like to see on your team? I mean, how do you feel about Aiyuk? He sort of has been the number 2 guy at San Francisco. Arguably has looked like a number 1 in a lot of games as well. What's your take on Aiyuk's sort of imminent departure from San Francisco?
Yeah, I think definitely on the field he has been, certainly last season one of the best receivers in the league, and I think every team in the NFL would love to have him. There's always concern, I think, with me with disgruntled players who are trying to force a move, ahead of their contract disputes. You're obviously going to pay up a lot of not just money to bring out, because essentially he'll be moving to get a better contract. But I've not seen much regarding what it would take to sign someone like Aiyuk, but multiple picks, including potentially a high end first, and possibly a mid second, third round pick for a player who will probably become the best played wide receiver the way that market is going. Someone who has obviously been very disgruntled and very outspoken against the organisation that he's at. It just sits a little bit uncomfortable for me. But it seems you can say imminent that he's going to leave, but this has been rumbling on for the whole summer, and it's something that I can obviously bang the drum about the Jets and some of their contractual disputes. I mean, an absolute nightmare so far this summer, but it's obviously not a good look for San Francisco, who failed to match his contractual demands. Whether that is having any impact on their camp and their practice and other players who are looking for a contract, that's something that is a bit of a concern particularly for a team that is certainly last year was a team where many of us expected to win the Super Bowl. Obviously got there, but I'm sure we'll be amongst the contenders this year. So yeah, a lot of question marks over the player and the organisation as well. I know Trent Williams was another one who's I'm not sure if that's been solved yet, but yeah, he was another player I think won a contract extension and threatened to hold out. So yeah, it's not great for the 49ers, but yeah, certainly Aiyuk is a player who can make a huge difference to a team. But yeah, not for me.
Inevitably, Adam, someone was going to have to go. Like you can't pay all them players that they have and all the offensive weapons they have and be able to keep them all. This was always coming, right? I think they just maybe thought they could wait until his sort of contract ran out before he got disgruntled and decided to move himself in a way.
Yeah, I think they've got a lot, haven't they, of I mean, and a lot of players there, a lot of guys that they've had to pay. You can only have so much, obviously. Eventually someone's got to go, like you say. I think he's a really talented wide receiver. I think he would be really good on a few of the teams that were mentioned. The biggest issue that I find with Aiyuk is I find a lot of people don't think he's as good as what he actually is. But the problem is that he's not. He's not the number 1 choice. He's not the number 2 choice for the ball to go to behind. You got McCaffrey and Debo. You could argue he sometimes he's not even the number 3 because of Kittle. So it's a really. I don't think you see him in his best light when he's with the 49ers. I think he'd be really good on another team, but yeah, you can't keep everyone. The 49ers have said that he can start talking to teams now, haven't they? That's something that can can happen, and I think it's just going to be a matter of whether the compensation is met, whatever that will be. But it feels odd timing, I have to say, to do a trade now. It feels like it's something you would maybe to a certain extent. The 49ers are worried that he could get injured, and then therefore they can't trade him at all. But it just feels a bit strange. You don't normally trade players just as the season's about to start.
Well, I think he's demanded this. I think they were stupid not to do it around the draft. Really, really stupid. Then they would have had him. You know, he wasn't injured there or anything like that. They would have got a conversation in the draft. Maybe they are looking towards future drafts. Admittedly, I just think they should have wrapped this up a lot sooner. This is only bad when this sort of lingers on and on and on. And I don't like that happening. I don't think he will come to the Steelers. I don't know if I overly want to pay the big compensation for him. I think Patriots makes sense in terms of what Johnny was saying, is then he'll get the contract extension and the money because the Pats have the money. The Browns don't have the money. They also brought in Jerry Jeudy as well, which I don't know whether that means anything, but I think it might mean something to the Browns. I also worry about Aiyuk coming in. It may cut the legs underneath George Pickens, who I think could really do with sort of having the light shone on him a little bit. I think that would be very positive for him as a player. But I'm not there. But I agree with Adam that I think Aiyuk's way better than people make him out to be. I think he is definitely a number one potential. And that's why I'd be really excited for him to come to the Steelers. I just don't know whether I'm very comfortable with it taking a first for him. But I don't think we're really. I mean, we'll very, very quickly say there's been a few rumors about Jalen Mills. Jalen Mills? Have I got that right? Joe Milton, not Jalen Mills. That's a completely different person. Beating out Drake May in camp very quickly on this, Adam. There's been Jacoby Brissett was named the starter at the minute. However, reports say that Drake May is not doing very well in camp. Joe Milton could be there, the 6th round pick. Load of smoke, or you think there might be some fire to this?
It wouldn't surprise me. Joe Milton's a really good quarterback. Came from Tennessee, and I think that he's got a good chance of doing something. I mean, Drake May did struggle in the last year of his college career. A lot of it was because the sort of players around him had gone, but you know, he did struggle. Joe Milton's got a hell of an arm on him, and he's definitely someone who could do something. We've seen it before, haven't we? Where there's been times where teams have, you know, drafted 2 quarterbacks and they've gone and actually the one who was the much lower one, you know, look at Trey Lance and Brock Purdy. So it's like it's happened before. It could happen again. I think Milton will take a while. I'd expect Brissett, if that is the case, if May is struggling and Milton is looking better, I think expect Jacoby Brissett to be the starter for quite a while for the season. But yeah, I think that both of I think Milton's got a really good shot if he does look like what they're saying he looks like, which is a reasonably okay quarterback.
We shall have to